Hello, and welcome to a conversation with Dickinson College employees on their recent use of Fizika as a way to engage each other in individual and collective efforts to improve their wellness and fitness. I'm Martha Harris, founder and CEO of Fizika, the developer of Fizika a smart wellness platform designed around the best practice examples and research that has to do with longevity and improvements in healthy body and healthy minds. I'm joined today by Jeanette Diamond, the wellness and staff coordinator for Dickinson College, who helped structure two different pilots, one in the fall and one in the spring, for Dickinson College employees, all of whom were working remotely during this time of pandemic. Jeanette, would you please introduce yourself and our special guest today?
Sure. My name is Jeanette Diamond. I'm the Wellness and Staff Development Coordinator at Dickinson College for employee wellness specifically, but also touching on a little bit of student wellness throughout these challenges. We also have Laura Wills with us, and Sherry Davis Cordell and Lynn Sullivan, all employees of Dickinson who participated in our fitness challenges in the fall and spring, either one or both. And they'll just be sharing some information about their experience with us this afternoon.
Jeanette, let's talk for just a minute then, and thank you all very much for coming and being part of this really important pilot. It's the first time anywhere that the Fizika platform has been used as a mechanism to engage college level employees in improving their individual and collective wellness. Jeanette, perhaps you could just highlight how you structured the two different pilots for a minute.
Sure. So both pilot programs were structured for a set number of weeks. The Fall into Fitness Challenge was a 12-week challenge that went from September through the end of November in 2020. We had 51 participants who stayed with the challenge all 12 weeks, and they were formed into 8 mini teams. The mini teams each got to select their own mini team names just to make it a little bit more fun. Also in the spring, we had another challenge that was 6 weeks that ran from after spring break ended on March 21st through May 1st in 2021. That one, even though it was a shorter challenge, had more participation and really turned out great. So over both of those challenges throughout the weeks, as I said, we had different topics, different challenges within the challenge. And part of that provided us the opportunity to gather some feedback through surveys. The surveys gave us a lot of words, so we created a word cloud just to show and emphasize the top expressions of fun and exercise and fitness, along with a bunch of other expressions that went along with the surveys. So the surveys that we did allowed us to collect some data and find out how people experience the challenges on a personal level, giving their perceptions of health and well-being for themselves, as well as some feedback on other health topics that we included as part of the challenge. So in the fall and the spring, we took the challenge to a different level and looked at how we could use Fizika to bring more focus to the weeks or the activities that happened throughout. So for instance, Fizika has areas of wellness that include sleep and socialization and nutrition and water. And then we look at exercise through different lenses of giving some variety to your exercise, different levels of intensity. And we took those types of things and incorporated them into the weekly programs that we offered. Both challenges were done totally virtual because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we had the benefit of having this nice online virtual platform that everyone could use and stay connected socially, in addition to being able to track information for themselves and see how they were doing within their teams as well. So it was a really great opportunity for us. And from an administrative perspective, it really cut down on my workload. So I was very grateful.
Awesome. Well, Laura, why don't we start with you? I think you participated in both the fall and the spring into fitness challenges, and perhaps you could just share with us what that was like to be part of those challenges.
Sure. For me, in general, I'm motivated by the tracking and the accountability and having teammates and not wanting to let them down. But even more so as we were remote, because I wasn't seeing them. I wasn't seeing my teammates going to the gym or not going to the gym, and I could say, come on, come with me. So I do like how it just kept us together as a team. You could see your team's progress each week. I think we saw it. Jeanette then would send out every week the previous week's winners, whether it was just by steps or the little mini challenges she had in there with nutrition and water and things like that. But it keeps me accountable. I don't want to let my teammates down. And for me, having a Fitbit or other device really helps me because it does ask for a number of steps. And without that, I think I would just be up out the door. So that definitely helped. I know it's probably not necessary, but it really did help me in entering my information every day. We got a little reminder email every morning, which was good for me because I would have forgotten it. It would take me the 6 weeks till I get into that habit. So that really helped me to remember to go on each day and enter the previous day's all the tracking information.
Excellent, excellent. And how long have you been wearing a Fitbit?
Maybe just 3 years. Not terribly long, but that alone has helped me too. Because if it's dinner and I see I'm only at 6,000 steps, I'm like, okay, I'm going for a walk after dinner.
Exactly. That's it. I wear one also for the same reason. So
yeah,
that's great. That's great. So Sherry, tell us about your experience in the Spring into Fitness Challenge.
Yes. So I was a member of a team of 2, and very much like Laura, I needed that accountability. Not only, my teammate kept me accountable, but then also just the Flexiflex. Just because for me, it allowed me to monitor my progress daily, weekly, and also for my teammate, she would be the one to text me or email me and say, we were planning to walk today, do you want to make it tonight? And so we would sometimes walk once or twice. And for me also, another aspect of it that I really enjoyed was the categories, just a reminder to drink more water, to keep moving, to eat, healthy foods, from all the different food groups. And then also sleeping. I tend to not give myself as much sleep as I know that I need. So it just was a reminder to, encourage my sleeping habits. And also it also flowed into my family as well. So they would hear me talk about it. And, like, for example, my husband and I would, go to bed earlier. And so it was encouraging him to eat healthier because I was preparing foods that were healthier. So it really was a domino effect, and it allowed all of us. And then my friends would talk about, what are you doing? Are you doing a Fitbit? And I said, no, it's, another program through Dickinson's Wellness Program. So just all of those challenges, just as Laura said, the challenges were helpful. And I could definitely agree, not letting my teammate or just seeing others being motivated, and it made me be better, each week. Yeah.
And have you continued those healthy behaviors since the challenge stopped?
I have. So unfortunately, my teammate, well, happily, she retired, but she and I still stay in touch. And so it's just a reminder, let's go walking today at lunch, or let's go walking in the evening.
Oh, that's great.
Also encouraged my eating. I've maintained, a healthy weight. And so I've been able to just continue my, focus on drinking more water, sleeping, eating healthy, and then also just walking in general.
Right. Keep those steps up. That makes such a difference, doesn't it? So you feel better too, don't you?
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sherry. It's your inspiration to all of us. And Lynn, how about you? How has it been? How was it using Fizika Flex? And tell us what you're doing now to keep healthy behaviors.
I really enjoyed using the Fizika Flex, especially because in the mornings is when I would log my information.
Right.
So I make sure I had every last little step in. I was using a Fitbit, and which made it really easy to kind of link up what I was doing daily and then putting it on the form. I enjoyed that. And it really helped with the water consumption.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I tend to fall back on a little bit. And so to see it, and then when I could look at my past screens and compare what I was doing step-wise, nutrition-wise, I found that very helpful. We were in a team of about 4 people. There was 4, including me, was 4. Mm-hmm. And we were able to cheer each other on through text, because our office is working remotely also. With limited office time. So we are in the office, but not all together. And so we were able to cheer each other on Mondays, or when we'd see the mini challenges, we'd be like, okay, let's do this and see what we can get done. And it was building camaraderie, and the whole experience was very positive.
That's awesome. Is it something you would like to see Dickinson continue?
Oh, definitely. I was involved last spring also, and that made me want to do it again this spring. And our office, because we had a team last year, so we wanted to do it again in the spring.
Yeah, I think part of the key, one of the key factors we considered in building Fizika Flex was the idea of healthy competition. That, fitness is something you work on individually, but to be reinforced by your peers not only makes it more motivational, but it's more fun, right? I thought it was very important in that Wordle that Jeanette showed us early on. Fun was like the biggest word. And if we can make fitness fun, that's as someone who through my lifetime has had to monitor my weight and sleep and water consumption, the idea of making it fun just makes it so much more enjoyable. And to be able to do it with your colleagues, I think is even better. So so many institutions are worried about morale as people come back to work. And, be a different experience this fall because you'll have students on campus and you'll be on campus as well. So, Jeanette, what are your thoughts in terms of how you might want to modify the program given that in-person instruction and students are coming back to campus?
Well, I actually may still be doing things more virtually, at least for the fall. I don't have a clear picture yet. I was hoping that I would by today, but I'm actually still waiting for answers. I do know that the college is not going to be offering group employee fitness programs live in the fall. That may change by the spring, but I was informed last week that we still have to remain not live for group fitness instruction for the fall. So we will likely have a challenge. I haven't figured out the exact layout of that yet.
Right.
We'll be working on that over the next couple of weeks, and we'll come up with the right game plan. And I'll probably be calling Laura and Sherry and Lynn just to get some thoughts on things we might want to tweak or change or add. But it's still to be determined for this coming fall. We very much enjoyed using Fizika Flex, though, and as reflected by Laura and Sherry and Lynn, obviously our employees loved it too. So we'll see.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we can continue to work together in some capacity. But what about innovative strategies to keep employees engaged, even beyond a challenge period? I think part of what we're being asked to talk about at the conference next week is what other ways can we keep employees engaged in their own fitness? So you're a very creative wellness coordinator, Jeanette, and I'm sure you have a few ideas up your sleeve.
Yeah, I think the key to keeping employees engaged really is making it fun. And everybody has a different definition of fun. So as a health coach, one of the health coaching topics I covered over the past year was keeping your fitness fun. And, one way to do that is to team up with a friend or, a coworker or somebody and find something you both like,
Mhm.
picking that activity that you enjoy and not one that's prescribed by someone else. Not everybody likes bowling or not everybody likes golf or not everybody likes swimming or something. But if you can find something that both you and your friend enjoy, that helps make it fun for you. And then you have that social commitment and then you stick to it. So that's really, I think, the key to any fitness program and, keeping people engaged is making it fun for them and meeting them where they are at. So
Absolutely.
that's my ultimate plan. What the exact program will be, we don't know yet, but we're going to try to keep it fun, keep it engaging, probably using Teams like we did. We did use Teams for a lot of our communication pieces this past spring and fall. We'll probably continue to do that, for the immediate upcoming fall programs. It allows you to communicate praise in a nice way. It doesn't put anybody on the spot, but yet it gets your congratulations or your kudos out there as well. It's always nice to connect more on a one-on-one level, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of social announcing going on.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, you're describing Microsoft Teams, which is
Correct. Microsoft
licensed by
Office
the college as part of
365.
a inter-office correspondence, if you will. The
Mhm.
other aspect of Fizika Flexo I'd like all of you to speak to is the team nature, that everybody participates as part of a team and they opt into that team. And you very creatively said to the groups, you pick the name of your team. So
Mhm.
that yielded some very creative titles for teams.
Yes, we had some great names. Sherry and her teammate were the September Sisters, and Laura in college advancement, there were 3 teams. And I can't remember all 3 names.
One of them was something about like be an outsider, because that was the group that liked to hike and do their exercise outside. So they were like the outsiders or something like that.
Yes,
Gym class heroes, and we had the fundraisers
yes.
That's
because we were in fundraising, and they
right.
were fundraisers for the teams.
Yeah. And then Lynn, your team's name was
Watch
different.
Our Dust.
Watch Our Dust. That's correct. Yeah.
I love that name. That was
So we had all kinds of different names. We had one team that I was on was named Risky Business. So there's no limit to how creative you can be. And one of the fun things we did just with the team names is we had everyone then vote on their favorite team name, and that favorite team name then won a prize. So, just small things like that add to the fun of making a challenge.
they do.
enjoyable for
They
everyone.
do. And I think it's indicative of the appeal of something like Fizika Flex when there were like 40 some people who participated in the fall and double that amount in the spring.
Mhm.
Clearly the word had spread that this
Mhm.
was a pretty cool activity that others might want to participate in. And Sherry, you talked about the ripple effect. I think that's such an important thing, particularly in secondary education, where will be our focus of next week's presentation. They're the wellness coordinators at the high school level are really thinking about the health of the families of the students. So perhaps you could just talk a little bit more about that, Sherry, and maybe some other ways that the benefit of Fizika Flex could spread.
Yes, absolutely. Just through Dickinson's wellness programs, and, from my very first week starting at Dickinson several years ago, my predecessor, had mentioned about the wellness programs. So immediately within my first week or two, I got on board and started the wellness programs, through Dickinson's different different wellness programs. But I did find that just through my interactions with my family, my spouse as well, he would hear me talk about different activities that I was involved in. Again, as I mentioned, preparing foods, here at home, just overall sleeping, eating well. So I do feel that it does start with each of us, but then each of us can affect our circle of friends, our families, and even taking it to the other level of coworkers, when we would often be on campus walking, we would see other groups, walking. And so it's just also an accountability, encouraging each other. But absolutely, I do feel that it is a domino effect. And it can start with us, but then we can also affect and influence others. And for next year, and I do plan to participate just because it's within me. I mean, I've embodied it now, and it's a part of my lifestyle, at Dickinson. But it's, although my teammate may not be joining me because she will be doing other happy retirement and activities, but I've also had 2 coworkers who've reached out, and Jeanette is one of them too. So like others who are just encouraging me to keep active, and I will plan to do that.
That's terrific. That's terrific. Well, hopefully even more of the students and staff will get to participate in the fall. If the past experience is any indication. That's
One
great.
thing I would like to see in the fall and maybe in the spring is more mixed teams. So we had probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 students that were on 2 separate teams this past spring. And I would love to see maybe some more integration between employees and students to help build that relationship. Students and or employees can designate, they can mix however they want. We don't put rules in place that say you have to have certain people on your team. You pick whoever you want to be on a team with. So that might be something that we will focus on, giving an award or a prize for the best mixed team or the best integrated team. I don't know. It's just something to think about from a cultural perspective.
Sure. I think it's a neat idea. I know another idea, Jeanette, you and I talked about early on, is whether alumni would enjoy participating in a kind of community-wide challenge on Fizika Flex. So since we have a representative of the alumni office here, I wonder what you think of that idea.
I think that could be something interesting, that we could do something with that. I know just when we went all virtual, we offered some yoga classes that anyways, for us employees, we opened, I think once a month, we open them up to alums, and we had a fair number of them sign up. So I think there is something worth exploring with that.
Well, we'll follow up with you about that. I think we'd be very interested, both as alums ourselves, Jeanette and me, but also I think really setting the college apart. It's been such a leader in so many areas, and I think being an online scalable platform like Fizika Flex is, it's really limitless in terms of how many people it could serve. And that's, we'd love to see that continue to add value to Dickinson.
I think we have a lot of opportunities that we can still explore. It just depends on what resources we're presented with and the timing that we have to work with. But I know our employees enjoyed using Fizika Flex and enjoyed the challenges. I know it was easy for me from an administrative viewpoint that I could see an overview of how all the teams were doing.
Right.
So that was really nice, and I didn't have to manually enter data. So that was great. It was easy to pull reports or get a report pulled to help me with analysis and figuring out who actually won challenges. So that was very helpful. Just the design was great. So I'm really grateful to Martha and Fizika Flex for providing us with that platform for last fall and for the spring. So we'll see what the future holds. We'll see where we go.
And Laura, thank you. Thank you very much, Jeanette. You mentioned the value of having a Fitbit while you worked with Fizika Flex. And that's why we formed a partnership with Fitbit Health Solutions at the end of 2020, because the data can sync from any of their Fitbit devices through the app, what's called an API connection. So sleep, water, and steps can be automatically captured on your Fitbit and then transferred to your Fizika Flex account. Do you think that employees are willing to buy their own Fitbits, or is that a benefit that should be provided to each of you?
Hmm. I have one. I would probably get one anyways, just because, like I said at the beginning, I like seeing that number. I would, but there might be some folks that maybe that isn't an option, or just something they can't do right now. So I don't know what that is, but I think a fair amount of folks already have them or would be happy to get them. But maybe there's some help for those that would love to do it but just
Right.
can't. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're continuing to sort of try to figure out. One of the tools that Fitbit has developed in the last year is called the premium software. And that's available for a separate subscription for $9.99 a month. It's less if you buy it through us. But the point is, any new Fitbit subscriber, particularly one who would get their Fitbit through Fizika, can get access to that software for free. And what the premium software does, and it's something to maybe consider as an upgrade, even for you, Laura, it has mindfulness and meditation and sleep and calming practices and tremendous nutrition information and customized exercise plans. It's like having a virtual health coach. So definitely take a look at that. We can follow up with you. But with all of that, it's still, the Fizika Flex platform gives someone in Jeanette's role the ability to see how each person is doing individually and at the team level. So in terms of monitoring adherence, she wouldn't know otherwise whether you're keeping your step count going with Fitbit, right? That's not part of how the Fitbit platform is structured. It's accountability to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the reason Fitbit partnered with us is because we provide an opportunity to engage that data in a different way, to improve a whole community's wellness and health behaviors. So that's what the message we're trying to get out, particularly to these secondary schools, all of whom have been working remotely, just like Dickinson for the past year, and trying to keep their employees engaged and to bolster morale. It's been a particularly for teachers, I think just about anyone I know who's a teacher says this was the hardest year they've ever had in their teaching career. So what can we do to help them to be more resilient? The better they feel about themselves, the more support they'll be able to provide to their students. So self-care is an important aspect of Fizika Flex too, and it's something we want to continue to cultivate and emphasize as we continue to refine Fizika Flex. But on that point, I'd be curious to know from the three of you, what do you do for self-care beyond using your Fitbit and making sure you're accountable? Are there certain things you do just to improve your mindfulness or your state of mind?
For me, walking really gives me that time to myself to think things through. I usually walk either at lunch or after work, so I have that transition, especially if it's after work. I have that transition between work and home since I don't have a commute home at the moment, which I really enjoyed. But my husband's an early to bed person, so I've been trying to go to bed earlier, which does make a huge difference.
It really does. I mean, the mornings after I've had 8 hours of sleep, I feel so different than the mornings when I've had less than that. So it's probably the number one thing we can do for ourselves is to allow our brains to restore themselves. I once heard a speaker describe sleep as mental floss for the brain. Just like we brush our teeth every night and use dental floss, our brain needs that sleep in order to clean out the toxins and to restore our memories and, frankly, our energy level for the next day. So, good mental floss.
And I found doing the challenge was self-care.
Interesting.
Sometimes I have a very sedentary job, and with the Fitbit reminding you, oh, you need to get up and take some steps. I thought that within itself was self-care because it got me moving, even if it meant going out and maybe throwing the ball for the dog for a little bit and, come back and sit down and go back to work.
Sure. No, you probably have your Fitbit set like I do, where it's like on 10 minutes of the hour, oh, you've got another 100, minutes to get, because then it tracks how many active hours you've had in your day, right?
Yes. And that keeps me going because I look at that and I'm like, oh, I got to get that in. And
that's excellent.
Because I really challenge myself also. And there would be times where my family would be looking at me and I'd be walking around the dining room or something, trying to get those last couple of steps in if it was like not nice outside. And they're, what are you doing? Like, getting my steps in.
Guilty.
Guilty.
And
Yes, I think we've all done inner circuits.
Brushing my teeth and marching in place.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll have to try that one. Awesome. Well, this is so anything else you'd like to share? I think we have a few more minutes before we wrap up.
I will share that, like Lynn, I do have an internal walking route. I definitely have done that many times, especially in the winter when it's icy and snowy out. And I did actively participate in my own challenges for Dickinson as well. So I wasn't just somebody who was being a cheerleader. I was an active participant.
Yeah, she had two roles in the challenge. She was the coordinator, but also an active participant on the risky business team.
Yeah, and I will say the step challenges to me personally were the most meaningful because I love to walk and it's a free exercise.
Yeah.
You know, getting in that 30 minutes a day, whether it's 10 minutes at a time or 5 minutes or an hour, you know, getting that time in is so crucially important. So kind of to support that during the month of April, I incorporated the 10,000 steps a day mini challenge into the challenge. And I'm happy to out Laura as being someone who met that challenge. Along with a handful of other people. I was really very surprised, happily, at how many people did that. But you know, the Fizika Flex app again encouraged that through the steps and reminding you how many steps you had and asking you to say how many steps you did in a day. So
and that's an important point. I want to make sure our viewers understand that there's a charting capacity built into Fizika Flex where you can see from week to week how many steps, any of the indicators in the daily health journal that you record or get instantly charted on a week-to-week basis. You can see how much progress you've made from week to week, but also how much progress you've made vis-a-vis the others in your team and in the broader community. So how was that helpful to have that sort of visual reminder where there's charts that you could see right through the Fizika Flex app?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was for me too. And I also do things like, you know, Duolingo, and they will say, oh, you're on a roll. That's 4 days in a row. Just those little things like that's something that could be, you know, something that's added that, oh, hey, you did great this week, or you're at 5 days. That's
exactly
strong or something. Some more motivating things like that would always speak well for me.
The positive reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get enough of that, can we? It's like, even if it comes from an app, right? We'll take it.
and I did like how it had that snapshot of how you were doing against other teams.
Yes.
So it would show the placement of the teams for the week or the, you know, whenever you look. So I thought that was a little inspiring. I'm a little bit competitive. I'm not overly competitive, but I enjoyed seeing where, you know, we were in relation to the other teams as well.
Well, I think our guest here today spoke to that as well, that if you saw that your team was lagging, you'd call your teammate and say, let's go take another walk, you know. And that's, again, that was all part of our design to encourage that, sort of looking out for each other, that you're not just doing this for yourself, you're really trying to help others improve too. So you've really, in your comments, helped reinforce why we designed the program the way we did and why we think it's so conducive to a collegiate or a secondary school environment, which is trying to build bridges among students and staff or students and family and the broader community. So it really is designed to be used by a community and embraced by a community. So we can't thank you enough for being pioneers in helping us demonstrate that Fizika Flex can add value in a very informed and engaged and dynamic community like Dickinson College.
Say thank you to Laura, Lynn, and Sherry for coming on and participating in this dialogue with us. And thank you again to Martha Harris a million times over for allowing us to use Fizika Flex app at Dickinson this past spring and fall. It made an amazing difference in our program and our ability to stay connected with each other.
Well, thank you. Well, it's been our privilege to have that opportunity to make it available to you. And thank you, Jeanette, for your guidance and structuring it in such a way that it could be dynamic. One thing that I think would be helpful, again, from a performance review, maybe at the beginning of the school year, go back to those same participants who worked in the spring challenge, not only to invite them to participate in whatever the new challenge is, but what further impact has Fizika Flex had on their behavior, say during the summer? Because the spring challenge was only 6 weeks, and yet all 3 of our speakers today are talking about really lifestyle changes, which typically take at least 3 months to set in. So that would be a very interesting question to pose to the participants, and would help us think through other types of post-challenge follow-ups that would be appropriate for keeping people engaged.
Great idea. I love it.
The more data, the better, right? So I think I have just one closing slide to show people how to connect to either you, Jeanette, or to me if they have more questions about Fizika Flex and its use at Dickinson College. But thank you, Laura and Sherry and Lynn, for your willingness to participate, not only today, but really your commitment to your own individual wellness and well-being, and use of Fizika Flex to help you get there. So great to be with you. Thank you so much. So there's our contact information. If anyone watching this video has questions about Fizika Flex or its use at Dickinson College, please get in touch with Jeanette or myself. Our contact information is listed there. And we look forward to hearing from you at fizikaflex.com or on Twitter at FizikaFlex. Thank you very much for watching. We look forward to sharing more good information about how Fizika Flex can improve health behaviors across the lifespan.